So, welcome everybody. I'm Suzanne Yeda. I'm with Yeda Creative, and I'm here live at Zoo Labs. In case you don't know Zoo Labs, it's an awesome, amazing thing. it's a it's both a recording studio and a business incubator, and there's a lot of activity and classes that go on here, as well as just regular recording things. It's in West Oakland, and I'm really excited that Zoo Labs could host me. And I'm also an alum. I went through the Business Accelerator with my friend Dame Drummer this past round. So, really excited to do this little presentation because this is something that I am super passionate about. I do Facebook and Instagram ads for a living for many different kinds of businesses, and also for music projects. So, we shall get started. Just a little bit about me. I am a singer-songwriter at Little Spiral. I am also a marketer at Yeda Creative Digital Marketing. I am also and your music project to get started. Before you lay down a single dollar on this stuff, it's going to really help. How ads fit in with your whole promotion strategy, because it's not the only thing. How much money to realistically set aside for a successful campaign, more or less. Speaking from experience, what I would suggest. And this just simply how to get started. And there's going to be some resources at the end where you can get more information. We are going to go through quite a bit of info, and I will have opportunities to get the slides. There's going to be a way to sign up to get the slides sent to you. But it does help to take notes if you've got pen and paper, because you know that little kinesthetic learning is a real thing. Okay, so why bother with Facebook and Instagram ads? Of all the advertising, of all the promotion, of all of the marketing that you could be doing, why this? It is literally the most sophisticated ads platform the world has ever seen. Some people would argue Google. I would definitely argue Facebook and Instagram. And it's still accessible to the little people. So before, you had to buy your TV slots and your radio ads, and you had to buy a billboard, and you had to buy a magazine. Like, that's how you were able to reach people. But now you can only buy eyeballs from just the right people. Instead of blanketing everybody and blanketing the world, you just talk to the exact people who are interested in what you have to offer. Who are interested in your music or your project. But Facebook is a pay-to-play platform. Instagram is fast catching up. And if you want to play, then there's some rules to learn about the game that we're going to be playing. So you can always opt out and not play it. I wish you the best of luck and do what you can. But more and more Facebook and Instagram advertising show that they are effective. I mean, there's 2.5 billion BILLION people on both of these platforms. Your ideal fan, your ideal customer is going to be on these platforms. All right, so how to know if you are ready? There's a few things that you actually don't need to be ready. I'm going to go through those first before I tell you what you will need. You do not need a fan base, any likes or followers, anyone on your email list. You don't even have to have a recent release for the musicians. You could actually release a song that's 10 years old, or try and clear out your basement of all of those, 500 CDs that you hopefully printed and had a little too high hopes. You can actually release that with Facebook and Instagram ads. If it's new to somebody, it's great. Come on in. You do not need gigs. You actually don't need to be a gigging musician or a touring musician to have success with your Facebook, Instagram ads as a musician. You don't need $1 million. I mean, you'll need some dollars, but you won't need 1,000,000 of them. And you don't need perfect branding. You don't need to have the exact right logo with the exact right message for your music and all that stuff. It helps, but it's not required. And you don't need the perfect strategy. You do need some direction. And we're going to talk about that in this presentation, but you don't need the perfect one, the one that's going to make it or break it. Like, Facebook and Instagram ads actually help you shape it the more you run them. The more you get data, the more you get responses, the more you see who's clicking through and who's buying versus who isn't engaging. So you don't need the perfect strategy, but you will need some direction. Okay, so that's the things that you don't need. The things you will need for those of you who actually are musicians, you need music that resonates. It doesn't have to be good, it just has to resonate. As long as there is something there that really reaches people, you can do some crazy great things with Facebook and Instagram advertising. You will need a Facebook page, not just a profile. I thought I would throw that out there in case somebody is confused. Don't promote your stuff just with your personal profile, because you will need a Facebook page to advertise and also to get data and stats and all the things that you need to run your business. Optional, an Instagram business profile. The reason why it's optional, I guess I don't have to explain too deeply, just know that you do need a Facebook page to run a Facebook and Instagram ad. You don't need an Instagram account at all in order to run Facebook and Instagram ads. It's because Facebook bought Instagram. All the infrastructure is there for Facebook. It's not quite there for Instagram yet. But without getting too far into the weeds, so you will need to be able to answer the question somewhat, and we'll talk about it a little bit. So what do you sound like? What's your music like? And I know that's a really annoying question, and there's different ways to answer it, but it is going to help you find your target audience once we start getting into running Facebook ads. Clear goals for your music project. So if you are a musician, do you want to travel the world and play sold out arenas? Or do you want to get your music placed? Or do you want to just play coffee shops and that's the house shows and that's what you want, but you want to be successful at it? It really, I would not put $1 down on any ad money unless you know where you want to go with it. A strategy to reach those goals. So we will talk a little bit more about it through this presentation, what that strategy might look like, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Patience. You need so much patience. There's a lot of trial, there's a lot of error, there's a lot of, I just spent $300 on an ad that didn't get me anything, and I've seen a lot of it. I've worked with Facebook and Instagram ads for the last 3 years. I've seen some amazing successes and some wild disasters. It's a roller coaster, and just commit to the ride. It's fine. We'll figure it out. Facebook and Instagram ads do work. They just take time and money, which is a very, very precious resource. Both of them are. So do have some patience and stick with it, and we will make sure that your money isn't going to Mark Zuckerberg's summer home. It's going to you. You will need, and this is the only group I will say this to, you will need a video. It's not optional, because you are in the music industry, your music business is related to sound. Facebook and Instagram do not have sound players. They have video. There's also a technical reason why I absolutely implore you to somehow get some video up to use that in your ads campaign. And it does not have to be a fancy video. It does not have to be a super well produced video. In fact, some super well produced videos don't really work as well as a regular old Facebook Live of you playing ukulele in the park. But being creative in what kind of videos that you can put out is going to be super imperative if you have anything to do with sound. Alright, and then finally, you will actually need a budget. You cannot pay for ads with exposure, so don't play gigs for exposure, because they won't give you those exposure bucks where you can pay your landlord and buy your groceries. Facebook does not accept exposure bucks, so they do actually accept PayPal and major credit cards. Alright, so those are the things that I would say you don't need, you do need. Here's some things that will make life just a little easier. At least some likes and follows from relevant fans. So if it's just your mom and her friends and your friend's dog like your Facebook page or heart your Instagram posts, we could still work with that, but if you've got relevant fans who are actually interested in your music, that could be really cool, because that we can tell Facebook and Instagram to go find more people like these people. That's for another discussion that can go down the rabbit hole in that way, but it does help to have at least some. It also helps to have an email list. It's not necessary, but it definitely helps. It helps to have a website or a landing page. Surprisingly, it is not necessary. You can actually do different advertising campaigns without touching a website. It's not recommended, but it's actually it's not recommended, but it's possible. I've had clients who are in the middle of like total website designs and couldn't reach it. Yeah, it is a total mess. So we were able to find workarounds. But tech savviness is just gonna make your life easier, just period, forever. Anyway, not just for Facebook ads, just in general. Not necessary if you know who to talk to, if you know who to hire. Okay, all right. So before I move on, I know I just like unloaded a whole bunch of stuff on you. Is there like any question? Are you following me? Like, does it make sense so far, at least? Okay. I see some nods, so that's awesome. Okay. What you need to know about your music to get started. I think I hinted at this before, but it's very hard to put your money down on ads if you don't know how to describe yourself or who you're talking to or what this music thing that you're creating is. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself, but you do have to just know what resonates. So knowing some combination of these, not all of them, but some combination of similar artists, and I actually am very particular about saying artists whose fan bases would be yours, which is different from similar artists. Little Spiral sounds like Tori Amos a little bit, sounds like Fiona Apple a little bit, sounds like this, that, but I also know I'm a big fan of They Might Be Giants. My music does not sound like They Might Be Giants, but I know their fan base would be into the quirky shit that I do. So people aren't looking for, in my example, people aren't looking for another Tori Amos. They've got a Tori Amos. They're looking for something complimentary, something that's cool, something that's pretty, something that's thoughtful and weird, and whatever it is. It can be complimentary. In fact, it should be complimentary. So similar artists is not necessarily sound like artists. It's whoever's fan base will be yours. Genre, subgenre, hybrid of genres, those are also really good to know. And it's also, I want to emphasize that we haven't had the tools yet until now to market music in multiple genres and with all the different mixes, because before it was like, I need to know where in the record store I'm going to find this CD. Oh, it's in the soul section versus the hip hop section for no reason because it's really rock and this is. You don't have to do that. In fact, you can have different genres and different mixes and advertise different songs because one of them might sound like Prince and another one might sound like, I don't know, Billie Holiday. So that's the good news about Facebook and Instagram ads is that it frees you up to be creative. However you need to express it, whatever song, you don't have to stick yourself into one genre or one pigeonhole. You can have subgenres, hybrid genres. This is going to be really cool for those of you who like to mix it up. Know some common themes in your music. If you love singing about whiskey, you could totally target fans of Jack Daniels. If you love to sing about heartbreak, I would not recommend actually advertising to people whose hearts have been broken. They don't want to see that shit in their Facebook, Instagram ads. They don't want to be reminded. But it is good to know if there's common themes in your music. I like to write about techie, nerdy things, and so sometimes I'll just try, like, people who are interested in both Tori Amos and Wired magazine. And just see where it goes. Where your ideal fan spends their time. It could be online or offline. If they spend their time in this particular coffee shop, then maybe you should play at that coffee shop. If they spend their time in a particular Facebook group, you should go to that Facebook group and interact. You should know some combination of these. You don't have to know all of them. It does help to know all of them, though. Okay, and then tribes, which is a very interesting word, actually. But what I mean is people who have some sort of religious fervor about a subject. And so here's some examples that might jot your memory or figure out, like, people are obsessed over certain music or certain TV, certain movies, fashion, food, drink, people are very, very passionate about pineapple pizza for some reason. They really, really have opinions about it. Just thinking about what people feel passionate about and tapping into that already, existing tribe. That's a lot of stuff, so I actually do have a free workbook called Getting Clear on Your Music Career, where all of that stuff that I just talked about, you can work through it and fill out the workbook, and it will help you think through a lot of these things that will really help before you even put down any money on Facebook ads. So you could text yada 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 to that number, and I'll leave that number up on the screen at the end of the presentation, because if you text it, I'll also send you this, send you a few more resources, I'll send you the slides, and I'll send you also ways to work with me further. So, okay, I'm going to take a little breather. Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep that up there, and then it will flash on the screen later on in the presentation, but that will get you signed up, and I'm going to send out those resources later tonight to everybody who's signed up. All right. You got it? We're good? Feeling good? Feeling like this stuff makes sense? Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. How these ads fit in with your total promotion strategy. I don't recommend only using Facebook ads unless you're filthy stinking rich and you just want to do what you want to do. Cool. But it still is way more effective to have a blend of things. I would not try and do all of them at once unless you have a dedicated team. But things like paid ads, shows are sometimes marketing events in and of themselves. Networking, social media posts, public relations, playlists, blogs, podcasts, email, all that stuff. I would suggest using ads as ways to promote these other things and using these other things as ways to point people to ads. They all support each other, so don't use one in isolation, but also don't overwhelm yourself in trying to do everything if you're like a solopreneur, please. Fire that shit out. Okay. The reason why I do this section is because this is a big rule of thumb in the marketing world. People need to see your name at least 7 times before they remember you. And I would even add, they need to see your name at least 20 times before they buy anything from you or sign up anything from you. You'll occasionally get the person who's immediately like super interested, but for the most part, people are busy. They're all over the place. They might forget about you, or they might actually be interested and about ready to hit the book the ticket button, but not, something happened and they just totally forgot. So this leads to one of the biggest mistakes I see everybody, not just musicians, but all of my clients. They make this big mistake. They're too afraid to sound spammy, and they never let themselves promote enough times to actually be seen, heard, remembered, and bought. This is the biggest mistake. Facebook and Instagram ads help you put your message out there so you're not like constantly feeding the social media beast. It does help to lift some of that stuff off of your shoulders so that they can get those 7 impressions without you having to hit publish 7 times. But again, back with that wheel and the spokes and the social media ads over here and the flyers over there and this, those all contribute to those 7 impressions, those 7 times that your name is seen. The second biggest mistake. Can anybody guess what it is? Okay, good. Advertising to strangers the same way you advertise to fans is the biggest, costliest mistake that you can do in social media advertising.
What does that look like?
I will totally show you. When you talk to strangers and you put the same ad to strangers as you do to fans, fans are like, I already know that. Strangers are like, who the fuck is this?
It's messaging.
Yes, it's mixed messaging, and the thing to know about social media advertising, it is a 2-way street, and you're just getting to know a person. Don't ask for marriage on the first date. Don't put, and this is also something for most musicians that I know, they've got a show coming up, they're like, great, I'm going to put a Facebook ad, it's going to be 50-mile radius of the venue, and it's going to target everybody who likes Tori Amos, and it's going to be awesome, and nobody shows up. Because they might know Tori Amos, but they don't know you. And plus, like, Radiohead's in town tonight, so, like, we're not even showing up to your show. But don't advertise to strangers in that way. I personally only advertise my shows to fans, and I use a different tactic altogether to get the fans. So I will tell you exactly how that looks, but I want to emphasize this point. The people who most likely to buy from you are the people who have already bought from you. A lot of us, not just musicians, a lot of my business clients struggle with this. They say, I need more sales, I need to make more ads and get more people. And have you even talked to the people you already have? Well, I mean, some of them have seen it, but again, to that first mistake, I don't want to seem spammy. Facebook and Instagram ads are an excellent tool to reach all the people that are in your world. Easy. Just, you can set it up one time and just everybody who's ever engaged in your Instagram feed in the last 365 days, anybody who's RSVP'd to an event in the last 365 days, anybody who's visited your website, anybody who's liked or followed, or anybody, you can reach all those people. Anybody who's signed up to your email list, you can reach all of those people, and those should be your priority because they're your people now, and you got to take care of them, and you got to tell them what's up. We're too busy trying to get strangers to come to our shows, and we totally forgot to send that email to your already existing list. So that I really, really wanted to emphasize that. So this is what in the marketing world we call a sales funnel. In the rest of normal people world, it's just a customer journey, I might want to say. So there's all these people out there, and I just call that section over there, I call that flying fuck land, because they don't give a flying fuck about you. Yet. that big arrow, you're trying to get them into your world and march them down to the goal. You get them from know you exist but don't care, know you exist and show some interest, then they start comparing you to others, and then they're sold, and then they're converted to a fan because they buy from you over and over and over and over and over again. Again, that one mistake that everybody makes, not like the people who are going to buy from you, the people who already bought from you. That's why. It is really difficult at the top of that funnel. It is really expensive. There's a lot of friction there. There's a lot of convincing. There's a lot of cajoling that has to happen there to get them in. But once they're down to that green and purple part, it's easy. It's cheap. You probably spend $5 on a Facebook ad and get people to buy and buy and buy and buy and buy. Up top, 500 maybe. So, and then of course the fans tell others, and so you don't even have to, all these people in Flying Fuckland, they don't actually have to go to the hardest part. They could just enter into your world right there. For music projects, the top of the funnel must be video. I don't say that to everybody, but for people who deal with sound, we have to introduce them to your sound. We have to, instead of asking for marriage on the first date, which in my opinion is coming to your show, I'm like, dude, buy me a drink first. You have to introduce them to video, and there's a technical reason why. I'll show you. All right, so let's say you've got all these people in Flying Fuckland, and then they come across a video. They come across a video that looks like every other piece of content that's on Facebook. Cool, awesome. They watch that video. You don't ask anything else of them. But then, there's a technical way of creating an audience of people who have watched 25% or more of that video. That's how you know, oh, they're into me. They're not into Tori Amos, they're into me. Cool, I can make bigger asks. Then you can ask them to be on your email list. You might actually need a couple of videos to kind of warm them up and show off your stuff, and not even ask anything big of them yet. You just want to show them your music, that you're having a good time, or that you're not having a good time if you're writing heartbreak songs. But then after they watch that video, then you can talk to them again. And you want to get them in a position where you can talk to them again. Again, because it's the people who actually buy from you or the people who already bought from you. You have to talk to your warm people. The warm audiences is what I call, what many call, people who are in your world. The cold audiences are the strangers.
Would that look like the video is the paid ad, but the keeping your fans engaged would be posting a selfie or asking a question or doing the the stories and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That you don't pay for it, but you're still using
You're still using that. I am suggesting that there is a paid layer that is retargeting. That's what we call is targeting these people again to let them know the next step in your journey. Because a confused mind says no.
So are you suggesting that on the video ad that you're doing on Facebook or Instagram, are you asking people to sign up to your email list? Okay.
This top level should be just pure entertainment, pure art.
No call to action.
No call to action, just hit the play button. The call to action is hit the play button. You could, if you really are trying to gun for it, at the end of the video has some creative call to action, but I would not make it so salesy. I would just make it look like every other piece of content that's on Facebook and Instagram. This tactic works the best with Facebook. It's not quite mature enough on the Instagram platform, but there's other things that we can do with Instagram.
So would a creative call to action be visit our website?
No.
That's too salesy.
Yeah, a creative call to action. My friend Animal, actually, she had this really fun video where it was a lot of her single friends. They kind of came together and they held up signs like as if they were a Tinder ad, and then people were swiping left and right. And then the call to action at the end is visit this website, tell me what you think about, like, you know, each individual within the video. You know, like, hey, hook up. Who do you want to hook up with, basically? I thought that was really, really clever. It doesn't seem like an ad. It just seems like an ask to further play around with this concept. You know. Normally, though, if you don't have some clever concept like that, I would just end the video. Just have, like, great. You just saw an amazing music video. Great. Cool. Immediately after, if they watch through more than 25% or more of that video, you know that they like you. Or that you know that they're more interested than a casual swipe by. And then you can be like, hey, the second ad,
Retarget them.
you
with their
retarget
email
the people.
ads.
And the second ad said, hey, thanks so much for watching my video. Here is this email list. I'm going to hook you up with exclusive goodies and, you know, make that offer really sweet.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that ad is still paid. You're still doing, like, the organic cool stuff, the Facebook, the Instagram stories, and, but this is strictly, like, for an advertising campaign. You're talking to people who watched that original video, and you're calling them deeper into the customer journey.
How do you find these people that have watched it more than 25%?
There's a way to set it up in Facebook Ads Manager.
Gotcha.
Without going into Facebook Ads Manager, there is a way. If you Google, like, how, I think the thing to Google is how to retarget video views in
Okay.
Facebook. So you can Google that.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah. After you get their contact information, then you can advertise whatever the fuck you want. It's really cool. You just be like, I got Spotify, and I got SoundCloud, and I got this show coming up, and I've got this $5,000 creative retreat in the Bahamas coming up. I don't know. Whatever the hell you want, because now you've got their contact list, and now you can talk to them again and again and again. I see too many artists who use this top of funnel and point them straight to Spotify, and you can't talk to them again.
Yeah.
They'll follow you, sure. They might see your next release, maybe, but at least here you've got their email. So I would say if you got a Spotify campaign going, whatever, put it after you ask for their email, and then just blast them with, like, "I put me on all your playlists," and, you know, get their email first. Okay, I'm probably running a little on time, aren't I? Okay, how much will ads cost? Really, 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 really depends. I hate saying that, but as a Facebook and Instagram ad specialist, that's pretty much the answer to everything. It depends. There's so many variables involved, including the goal of your ad is. If you're placing an ad that you just want likes, comments, it's going to be cheaper per result. If we're on the sales funnel, your audiences. If you're at the top of that funnel, it's going to be expensive. In general, it's going to be way more expensive. If you're at the bottom of the funnel, it's going to be a lot cheaper because you can reach all of the people in that green spot with maybe a $5. The thing you are advertising, if you're advertising that $5,000 creative retreat in the Bahamas or a $20 CD, that is going to affect how much money you will need to spend to reach the people who are going to buy. Hitting the right target, and in a related thing, sending the right message. The target and the message has to be aligned, and Facebook will smile kindly upon you for doing that and rewarding you with cheap ads. Competition from other ads. If you are a wedding DJ or a wedding band and your target audience are people who are about to be married, you are going to pay a pretty penny for that very competitive, very expensive audience. And you're not going to know how expensive until you try, and it doesn't work, you put in more budget. If it is a competitive audience and everybody else, like all the tuxedo rentals are trying to reach that audience and everybody else is trying to reach that audience, it's going to be more expensive. The timing of your ad, this matters sort of, kind of, a little less than other things. The real thing to think about is, are you advertising during the holidays and Black Friday? That's going to make everything more expensive. If you're not, you're probably okay. And also when the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars. In other words, I have no idea. I have seen campaigns where people spend thousands and everything looks perfectly on my end and 0 sales. 0. And my heart breaks with theirs because I had done everything I knew. I've also seen campaigns. Speaking of retreats, there's a woman who did a retreat in Mallorca. $2,000 a seat. She accidentally hit the boost post button, didn't have any targeting whatsoever, and made 2 sales. I have no idea. Mercury is in Gatorade or something. I don't know. The truth is you have to test a lot and also have a lot of patience. You don't have to spend all of the money. Like, I really don't recommend spending thousands of dollars and getting 0. But it does happen, even if everything else is aligned in the Facebook Ads Manager. Something is happening where the audience and the offer just don't align. And I hate to also say it is maybe your music just sucks if it's not working. That's what I have to tell some of my business clients. Is like, maybe your offer isn't good enough, and that sucks for me to say because it's their baby. But looking at the data, looking at everything, if that audience and the offer are not aligned, it doesn't work. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, I can ask at the end, or I can. It was about the previous slide.
Oh, let's do the previous slide.
You mentioned sending the right message, and then Facebook would reward you. So how do you
Okay, yeah. So, up until recently, Facebook changes all the time, which makes my job so fun. There is a metric called the relevance score. And it's a scale of 1 to 10 how relevant your message is with your audience. If you score a 7 or above, Facebook will give you favor in the algorithm. I don't know how else to say it. Facebook will give you cheaper ads. It's a sign that you are a good player and you're not a spam bot and you're not taking advantage of people. And so Facebook will. There's a good reason I skimmed over it because I could go all the way, but I'll sum it up with this. Facebook ads is essentially an auction, and it's not just reliant on who pays more. It's not exactly eBay. There's other factors like relevance score, and there's other factors like are you on good standing with your accounts? Do you have an account history? There's all sorts of things that go into whether or not Facebook lets your ad win the auction. So if you've got a good relevance score and you are talking to the exact right people who really love what you're doing and you're offering them great things and they're not reporting you for being like a horrible advertiser, they're
things that are like, is this ad relevant to you? Well, no.
Yes. Yes. So you're the one. You're the one. If an ad is literally annoying, then you should honestly just report all the stuff. Now, if it isn't annoying and it actually is an offer that you like, I mean, don't do that to your advertisers.
So would like a strategy be to do like micropayments, so to speak? Like every week you spend $20 on the same group?
Yes.
Or,
Yeah. So the strategy I use is the strategy I use if you're especially on a budget is starting out with small cost ads just to see what the click-through rates are, just to see if anybody's clicking through or signing up for your freebie or whatever.
to like build that relevancy.
To build a little bit of history, to build a relevancy, but also to buy data. You're buying data. You're buying, okay, this message and this audience doesn't look like it really resonates. The relevancy score is not great. The click-through rate is a little below what I'm expecting. And you can tell, and then you could say, okay, I'm going to tweak this, I'm going to tweak that, I'm going to tweak this, I'm going to tweak that. So it starts with small tests. That tactic works up to a degree, and I could talk forever about that, but that is where I would start. That's a good place to start. Okay, so my recommendation for those top of funnel campaigns, and I do stand by, like, really set aside like $500 to even $1,000, like, minimum, for top of funnel campaigns. For bottom of funnel, you could probably, and when I say bottom of funnel, it's just everybody who's in your world already. So people who have engaged on your page or watched your videos or whatever. That's naturally going to be a smaller and more interested subset. So you could probably lay down $20 and reach everybody at some point. But if you really want to get out there and get new people into your world, it takes some time and dedication and investment to make the numbers work so you see a return on this spend. Don't think of this as an expense. This is an investment. It does come back to you if you've got it right. So it just takes, especially for musicians, it does take time, and it's, either time or money are things that we all lack sometimes. So do put this number in your head, like stretch those muscles in your cranium so that you know if you're going to really launch a campaign, you've got an album coming out and you want to release it to the world and you want to make some of that money back, like $5 ads here and there, like I was saying, those are only good for testing the waters. They're not good for actually making the money back. You're buying data at that point if you actually want to make sales. Yeah. Okay, so if it's all right with you, I want to tell you a little bit more about some of the things that I do to help people get ready for Facebook ads. One is that Getting Clear workbook, and I will have this phone number again at the end. But the deal that I want to offer you is if you turn it into me completed, I'm going to give you $75 towards a business planning session with me. So this entire strategy, I got 2 hours that you can book with me, and we will go through your strategy, your business plan. We'll take a look at some of your videos if you've got them, give you suggestions if you don't. And even if you're not a musician, but you have a music-related business, I also work with just general businesses. So I will give you that. I'm happy to do that. If you are ready for Facebook ads, cool. There is a free training at Facebook Blueprint, totally free, and it is pretty thorough. It also, the example business that they use is called Jasper's Market, so it may not be as relevant to you and your business, but all the training is there. It is from Facebook, so I guess they know what they're doing. I guess. If you need something a little more music tailored, there is a self-paced course for musicians, and this is actually one of the most thorough trainings. It's the one that I can recommend just with my experience in online marketing, and it's also one of the most affordable. So it's got all of it. Plus, there's even if you do nothing but listen to the free podcast, which is called Creative Juice, that in of itself is like audio course. Is great. It will go even deeper than some of the stuff that I've been able to do. So it's $37 a month. And then I wanted to tell you about, I've got a 6-week Facebook and Instagram Do It Together ads program coming up on October 10th. And this is all businesses, all of my clients, including music, including everybody. It's a learn by doing community, so if self-paced courses don't really do it for you, they just sit around, you never hit play, we actually learn by doing the Facebook ads together. You will have my expert guidance, you'll have live troubleshooting. I can actually look at your account and go, oh, that button is not clicked, you should click that button. real-time feedback, video tutorials. There are some video tutorials as we go through it. We'll give you creative ad ideas, access to a private Facebook group where you can also learn from each other. So there's other businesses in there that have different models and different things that you can learn from each other. And the video tutorials will show you how to test those ads. You can test one headline over another. You can test one picture over another. You can test one audience versus another. What all the numbers mean, and which ones you should look at, which ones you can safely ignore. How to calculate your budgets, which is a big deal. How to target the visitors of your website, targeting your email list, fun times with lookalike guys, blah, blah, blah. Creative ad ideas that aren't so salesy but do grab attention. To hire me for a similar one-on-one training would cost about $2,400, and I'm offering it for $599. So do tell me if you are interested. I do have a payment plan, but and all these beautiful people are saying such nice things about me. She showed me tools that I never knew existed. Oh my God, David Earl is a freaking Apple project manager for Logic Pro. That was like the highest compliment I've ever gotten, ever. So I gotta show that one off.
Yeah.
Internet wizard, save money, I just can't stop. All these amazing, beautiful people who love the kind of guidance that I've been able to get them. So, all of that, if you text this, I'm going to send you resources. I promise I won't bug you. I won't spam you. But I will send you the resources, including the Getting Clear workbook, the slides, the links to, like, Entrepreneur. I've got a link that'll get you half off of the first month. And then if you want to go more into depth, then I will send you resources there. So, that is that. Oh my God, at 7:31. Look at me. Boom. Thank you. Are there any questions? Any thoughts? Any, like, is your brain already fried?
No.
Okay.
Not right.
Not fried. Okay.
Can you give an example of like any band or business that you worked with that kind of
Yeah.
came to you and kind of the results that came, like the strategy that you put
Yeah.
together and the results that they got?
Yeah. So, my friend that I mentioned earlier, Animal, I worked with her on a video that got 500,000 views, and with the retargeting strategy, building her email list.
Was that the one where people had the notes? I think I saw it.
It was, they had captions. They were telling stories just about really rocky relationships, and there were captions beneath. That's the one. I was the person behind that
Awesome.
one. I mean, she was the person behind making it, like, so powerful, but I hit some buttons and made it go happen. And then with the retargeting strategy, we did build your email list at, okay, so a typical benchmark, if you're spending $2 to get one email address, you're doing great. We got an average of like 83 cents, something like that. I'll have to double check. Another artist that we actually did a great job with. Again, if you come to me with powerful videos that are awesome, I could do super magic with them. He came to me, Leon Rosen, Leon and the Fantastic, came to me with this crazy cool stop animation video, and with this, like, vibe that was very, I would say maybe Pink Floyd-ish, David Bowie-ish, yeah. And I think we got that to 300,000, something like that. And he had his debut show, and God, I wish at the time, I wish we had the proper measurement tactics to actually gauge who came to the show because of the Facebook ads. Now I know you got to put a code word in the ad. Say this code word at the merch table, and we'll hook you up with some free merch. I didn't think of that before the show, but informally, we were asking around. How did you know? Oh yeah, he's a popular piano teacher. oh, is it teacher? Like, I would say, like, 1 of every 5 people that I asked would say, oh, Facebook ad, which is crazy good because I've seen Facebook ad campaigns for shows that flopped completely. And that was also, you know, he did invest. He invested in the right tiers. So, yeah. So those are the pure musician success stories, and then I have some others that I mostly do consulting. So I show people how to do it. I don't do as many done for you campaigns anymore, but I mostly do consulting and I show people how to do it themselves. Mm-hmm.
What about in terms of like analytics? Like, what's a good measure of like click-throughs, for example, like
Yeah.
in a Facebook ad? Or
So for a warm audience, people who are already in your funnel, I like to see like a 3% click-through rate. So out of every 100 people who see that ad, 3 people or more should be clicking on it. If they're already in your funnel. If they're strangers, 1% is like my rule of thumb. It's not hard and fast, but I've seen ad campaigns to cold audiences that came through 5%, which is like crazy good. But yeah. Oh, that actually reminds me. That was another musician client. She is out in Sweden, and she does like Celtic woman Enya style like new age music, and I have no idea. Again, she was one of those people who just hit the boost your post button and typed in a whole bunch of shit. No idea how she got so like crazy amazing numbers. But in talking to her and when I hired her on as a client, she told me that she had some radio play. So like again, with that spoken wheel and all of the things that contribute to it, I do think that was a big difference because like she literally typed in the word ocean. Like who is gonna on Facebook say I like the ocean and then be targeted with ocean ads? I'm not sure how that happened, but it happened. So she got like 5 to 6% click-through rates from strangers, which is like crazy good. The other benchmark again is like email signups. Everybody's kind of chasing that $2 per email signup, and they get really excited when they get it. They get even more excited. I get even more excited when it's like in the cents. That makes me happy.
You talked about needing to have patience, and that these strategies work, but you need to expect that it's going to take some time before you start to see a return, either in money or numbers. What do you think is a reasonable time frame to see that return?
A lot of my fellow ads specialists require a minimum of 3 months to work with them, because any less, you don't get enough like data and liftoff and all of that. Again, it really depends, but I do give people like the mental framework of like 3 to 6 months. It just depends on what your goals are and what kind of budget you are and how compelling you like. If you're collaborating with Kanye, like okay, like you probably won't need the 3 months and all of that. But if you're like starting from scratch, it's going to take even more of a time and money investment. And it feels, I will say this, it feels a little disingenuous of me to be like, of course they work, you just need time and money. If you run out of time and you run out of money, they don't work. So, and you could say that about anything. Like, I was about to build a rocket ship, I just ran out of time and money. Like, okay, alright, fair enough. But, I do think that it does take some months to do like a real proper campaign. I will say, if you don't have that time or money, you can still use Facebook ads to do a bit of market research and, just get that data in to see, okay, the fans of Tori Amos like me, the fans of Kanye probably don't. Maybe. But I can't say until I actually do those. Or you use your Facebook ads money to just talk to your current fans. Just talk to them again. Make sure that they see all of that, everything amazing that you have to offer. And that's honestly how I've been able to run most of both my business and my music career is in the retargeting ads. They'll find me through word of mouth or whatever. I have yet to launch. This is also me, like, this is very common. It's hard for me to do my own work on me, you know, and I finally am hiring this shit out. Like, I'm finally going through my own voice and hiring this shit out so that get that going. Any other questions, comments?
Are there any online?
Okay. Cool.
I just had a quick one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed the end of it. But if you say you have a Facebook page, business page, and you upload an ad, it's a video, so it's like 15 seconds or something, and you put 300 spend behind that ad, how would you do that in Facebook Ad Manager? Like, how would you upload the ad and then push it and then boost it all at once?
I'd have to actually show you, like, what to click on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But you can easily sort of do that in the background, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, like, technically you could just post this video as a regular post on Facebook.
Right.
And technically do the boost post button. But the first thing that you'll need to do, you'll have to do a couple of things of setup. The very least that you should be doing is creating the retargeting audiences. So the thing for you to Google would be how to create custom audiences in Facebook. Custom audiences is a term that Facebook and Instagram use for warm audiences or people who are in your funnel somewhere or on there.
Gotcha.
So you'd have to Google that and it'll tell you step by step.
Okay.
And then you can also just say, like, how do I retarget? Retarget's the other word. How do I retarget video views on Facebook? And it'll show you step by step.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool. All right.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Suzanne.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
that was
much. Thank you. And please, text for more information, or if you want to just get my email. I also have my email. But this is gonna be the easiest, so I could just collate everything and just send it out to everybody. Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.